Hey guys, this is Simon from Fateless. We got a treat for you today. We're going to be going through one of our round tables where we talk about game features. We basically do a round table every week at Fateless talking about different areas of the game that we're designing right now. This one's talking about different kind of like features that we could bring into our game, which are slightly different to perhaps what other games are doing right now, or ones that we absolutely love from other games and how we can kind of manipulate those into the game we're building at Fateless. So it's quite a long one. Grab your cup of tea and enjoy.
I think from this point in the discussion, it's like, okay, now like I said, first 20 minutes, I think we should talk about things in these games, and not just raid, but in hero collectors that we like, that we think that should go in a game like this. So maybe uh we can see on that first one you've got, the Excel one. Obviously we're going to have these things. So, but let's talk through some of the other features, and maybe let's have people jump in with just like, all right, maybe just your favorite or a really interesting feature, or like a very positive thing, not a negative thing, and nothing that's already up here. So yeah, give us five. Like, you've kind of obviously thought through this. Just give us your five big takeaways that we definitely have to get in the game, and I guess Brad can fill them in
So
on the.
the Mage's Tower is essentially the Doom Tower, and
Okay, we got Doom
what I
Tower.
what I like, and I think we should try and do,
Well,
and I think
let's not do too much context on them. Let's
yeah,
just start with
so
broad
that's just a
feature.
Doom.
What is
Yes,
it?
that's the Doom Tower. It's basically climb 200 floors every
Sure.
day. 10 floors unlock, but it's not key based, right? One of the main problems I think in Raids Doom
Yep.
Tower is
So
if you
you
miss
don't
a day, you
complete it
lose
right
your
away.
case. So
Yep.
you can't necessarily complete it right away, but if you say take a break for 5 days, you come back. Well, now you've just got 50 floors to
You
climb,
get 50
right?
floors to actually go for.
You can
Pretty
just
cool.
keep climbing. The renown system so that it makes the campaign system relevant. As
So
in, you never
faction. So you're saying
like faction
faction
reputation tied to
reputations.
the
All right, sure.
campaign territories,
And
so that it
we
makes
can talk
campaign
more about that.
relevant. Mhm.
Okay, love it,
Then World Boss, I guess,
love it.
which I think should
As
be
an event, is that
dynamic.
what we're saying?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
should be dynamic. That it happens for a 4-hour window at some point during the day, not
Okay,
like all
put
the
like
time.
dynamic world boss or something, just so that
Yeah.
we know that it's not just it's not like clan boss basically.
How would you feel about that being like a monthly event rather than it's a daily thing, like
Weekly, maybe. Yeah.
or weekly or whatever? Like, I'm
Or
thinking
weekly.
in my head maybe that replaces the idea of fusions in raid. So
Okay.
It's either it places fusions or hydras. That's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
what
I
I'm
get
hearing.
it.
Or hydra is kind of what I'm hearing here. Okay, that's
Um,
three. Two more. What do we got?
Progression-based unique item drops that are rare from dungeons.
Love it. So
Uh,
and that can fit in with the secret room
Yeah, it's
concept.
basically like a 1% chance to drop something, and then if you get that, you can unlock another feature, which gives you a bonus, right? So there's
Okay.
a reason to keep doing it beyond just the gear. Um, and then the raids concept, which is team up with 3 other people from your clan. You go into like a survival mode where basically you just keep fighting enemies until you die. So it's kind of like a raid, and you have to work together to basically pick
So
which boss you can
endless
fight.
survival. Okay, love it.
Yeah.
Cool. And again, we're not necessarily saying that we're gonna take any or all of these. We just let's start getting the ideas out there. So
Yep.
Saf, dude, this is huge, and we should have a longer meeting where we sit down and talk through a lot of these other things. I just want to make sure that in this roundtable we have like, all right, let's get everybody's input so we can start to get all these brains chewing on different ideas, and then really um get there. So uh dude, yeah, huge. That's amazing. Um, uh, who wants to go next? I guess who wants to pick
Let's
one
let
to five? I guess if you've got a bunch of ideas, go for it.
let's let Tim jump in here. Tim, do you have any features that you really want to make sure you see implemented in the game, or any new ideas that are churning in your head this last week?
No, I honestly love the ideas that Saf just put forward. I kind of just been sitting back and listening along. I shared last week what my biggest thing was, and it really comes down to I'm the opposite of Saf, right? I'm not a detail oriented guy. I'm more of broad. What are the feelings that I want to have right in a game, and what are the experiences that really draw me to a game? And in that to that end, it comes back to what I was saying. I think like a couple weeks ago, it really has to do with community and social aspects. And I think that Seth actually touched on a lot of that, right? So that all appeals to me.
Yep,
I
agreed.
like the more robust we can make the guild slash clan system slash whatever we call it, the better to me. And I just feel like that, from a actual game developer from a publisher standpoint, I feel like that just is the magic bullet for player retention.
Well, and you just touched
there-
on one that we don't actually have up here. Like we have clan boss, but we don't actually have clans. Like and the structure, you know what I mean? And I think
so there you go. Yeah. And I would say that, like, to me, I mean, the social, every element, whether they're big in a broad sense, a dynamic clan where we can do things like, I'm not saying we have to share resources or be able to give gifts or be able to share heroes or champions or whatever, but those are all ideas that we could obviously consider. If it mixed, if it kind of fell in the foundation that we establish.
So perhaps we should call out a couple of the things which would be cool from that, though. So you've said
let's
sharing a hero, for example,
Sure.
as an option. What's a couple of other things that we've seen which
one
are
thing
good?
from a lot
sharing
of
hero
these
battling
games.
against the clan boss, right? Together was one of the other ones we were discussing.
I think one thing I think having clan levels out the gate would be good. I think that working together to accomplish goals, even if they're menial goals, is always good, right? So a clan leveling system that increases your perks, increases, again, these might be good or bad ideas, but like, I get 1% more gold or whatever if my clan is leveled.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Fires me,
Well, and some control for the leaders. I think also making it matter to progress and be a part of that social ladder, like to climb the social ladder. That's something that people, these games are about meta progressions. People spend a lot of their time in it. That's what people loved about World of Warcraft and that type of stuff. I think that we need to, like, why isn't that in mobile? I think that it should be.
I feel like another one that could go into that same bracket is like battle friends, like battle someone else's arena
testing.
defense, for example.
Yes.
I actually
or
have
review, like, again,
lots
I'm
of
not
that.
sure if we're going to have any sort of customization available on our own base. I know it's not a kingdom builder or a base builder, but if we have any of those dynamics, being able to visit somebody, maybe you visit somebody and you give them something, maybe you can, like, put something in their mailbox or whatever the heck, but like show up, like, hey, what can I improve here? You're giving some sort of a feedback system to enable people to ask other players for advice, their clan mates for advice.
I know it's so massive in Clash of Clans, right? I think that was a whole full systems built around just telling people how to build their
exactly their bases. Yeah, and what you can do is if we don't have a base, or if especially out the gate, if there's nothing like that, simply think about it in Raid, or any of these games, simply being able to share a hero build in the chat. Like, hey, what do you think about this build? Like, that would be incredibly engaging.
Yeah, I love that.
Real time.
Epic 7 does that. You can just be like, share hero.
That's another feature.
Yeah. You can share your hero, or if you roll like a good piece of gear, like, holy shit, look at this ring I just rolled. Instead of just being like, Ash rolled a ring to max level, it's like, no. I can share it, and everyone can look at it and be like, this is literally game changing, and people hype it up. So
that's pretty sick, actually. So, like, being able to share, like, to post your character. Here's my.
It's amazing. Because people get like a new character and they're like, well, how do you guys build your Rotos? And it's like, well, here, I'll show you. Like, it's right in game. You don't got to go to Discord. It's just like it's one button.
So I think when we come out of this, I was just going to say, when we come out of this session, Brad, if you can separate out some of these things which are actually, like, some of these are different features, or So it's fine as it is right now,
no
but
problem.
because of time and stuff. But
right now, everybody just
dump
dump everything, and then I'll organize it later. Yep.
One thing I was going to say I think is really important is level progression agnostic clans. So one of the big problems in a lot of games is, I can't play that because I'm not progressed enough, or I'm not far enough, and then they feel like they're excluded because they're not hitting the highest level. So having systems where players can essentially be in the same clan but at different player progressions, but nobody gets penalized for it. It's difficult, but it's
almost like it's like a normalized progression curve, so that if you're level like 5, you're still helping the clan in a similar way as someone who's level 80 or whatever.
And you're not so the level 80s are getting everything they want to get. The level 5s are still being able to take part, but there's no, like, basically in Raid, it's like if you're not in a Ultra Nightmare clan, you lose out, and that kind of feeling is, I think, bad for our goals of trying to make communities in the game.
And definitely something to explore, especially because, like you said, we want to build great communities. That's a core thing that we're doing at Fateless. So okay, Ash, dude, that thing, you're like, I don't have anything to say except for all these really great things. So
really quick, just to put a cap on it, is something to consider would be how our leaders and officers or whatever are going to be recruiting. I mean,
Mhm.
age old in these games is spamming global chats. It's obviously not ideal, but how can we make a better system without having to put like tons of resources into making a better system?
We
Do we
we we
even
had we
need
had a really cool idea around this actually with how we're talking about having a multiplayer clan boss, something that where you can if you're like a clan leader or like a somebody who recruits, being able to do it multiple times a day to try out new people, if you get what I'm saying.
try out new like what?
Not try out
Oh, like
not test new champions,
tryout.
to
Oh,
recruit
got you.
Right.
Yeah, no, no.
people to see if they know what they're doing, if they can hit.
Yeah, like we could make potentially we could make like picture going to your base in any of these games. Again, I'm just going to use raid, but picture like going to your home screen and being like a town square or something, where there could just be other clans posting once a day or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and I think again, obviously there's dangers and downsides in these that have to be considered as well, but like it could also be a mechanism to really create a robust there's no way right now for even clans to really smack talk each other a little bit and have like some like rivalries in clan versus clans or anything like that. To me, like those are social things that, with the proper restraints around them, can add more camaraderie to your own clan, right, through these rivalries. I guess my last thing too is, and again, not sure if it makes a ton of sense, but there's never been any game I played, I'm sure that exists though, a way to like really facilitate alliances between clans. Like, okay, so a clan's going to be 20, 30, 50 members, whatever it may be. But so many clans, as they grow, they need a way, to Saf's point, to differentiate end game players, mid game players, etc. Is there a way that you can have just a simple alliance chat, right, alongside your clan chat, which can accommodate up to 5 clans or whatever?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
is there a way that we can facilitate building, and is there a way that we can build perks into that as well?
Yeah, it's so prevalent now. I mean, like Simon and I are in a cluster for Watcher of Realms. We don't play together, but we're still in that same cluster. It's all facilitated through Discord. I mean, if we can have some parts of it, and we don't want to take away everything, but some parts of it facilitated in game, I think that'd be awesome. I think that's a really good call.
I mean, even can we get more closely collaborated with Discord so that we could like put connections between
Yeah, throw that up there.
Discord
Actually,
communities?
that could be really cool. If we could connect directly with Discord, I mean, that would be freaking awesome. Actually, I think that'd be a really obviously there's some security issues that we need to be resolved on both ends, but beyond that, I think that's a really cool idea. Okay, dude, massive. Thank you. Why don't we do MTash? What do you got?
I would say like the thickest anime girls we can get in the game would be a big bonus for me.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Good start.
I would say
You and Dirk.
any sort of roguelike system or like replayable system that is going to be, something that people can get rewards from, but also just like an enjoyable challenge. Whether you tack it onto the Doom Tower, example would be you can do the Doom Tower normal, but then there's also a roguelike one. You amp the difficulty, and now you're going through and you're getting some bonuses along the way, and it's a different experience. If there's a way to work something like that into the game where we're essentially repurposing the core systems, I think it would be really cool. So I've always been a fan of like roguelike system, replayable system, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the things. We had talked a little about this with the roguelike concepts in some of these games. Like the grind will always be there. We want to make sure that the grind is always fresh and fun. And I think roguelike is one of those ones where we get to reuse a lot of assets, which is great. We get to use those assets in different ways and creative ways to make it super fun for the players, and people will always want to come back and be like, oh, that's new, that's a different way, that's a different angle, that's a different version.
So do you mean like a Doom Tower where you could go in and play and it would throw like random waves at you? Like you don't know what floor 2 is going to be, you just kind of go in and play and it throws random enemies?
Yep. But also like let's say we've created all these different bosses, is like it might throw those bosses at you in a different order, and you're going to get bonuses along the way that, like, so example is like the Scarab boss, you need a shield. But hypothetically, if you go through the roguelike system and you pick up a passive that like everyone starts the battle with a shield, maybe you don't have to bring a shielder.
Yeah.
So there's like different ways to play. So like someone might be able to use a completely different team to beat that content because not everyone's going to have all the same units. So it's like, I don't know. It's just like it's kind of like,
And you're making decisions, right? So you'll be like given 3 options, and it might be everyone gets a shield, everyone gets plus 10% attack, so everyone who plays the game is playing it in their own way.
yeah. And you know, I would say it's definitely maybe like a Mario Party type game mode where it's not the most serious, like, hey, I beat the roguelike game mode. It's more just like a feature that I feel like is pretty fun for people and can have really memorable moments. Like all of a sudden your Siffy like doesn't have any cooldowns because of the passives you're getting, and she's just like buffing your team and reviving everyone, and it's just, I've just always been a fan of roguelike. So if we can work it in there somewhere, I think it's got a lot of replayability and everything. But it also might be a system that we build on later down the road. I just know that it's quite successful in like in Honkai Star Rail. Like it's pretty popular. And maybe this is just an event, right? Like maybe this is an event idea, but
I like it.
Yeah.
That was kind of like what I was thinking with the dungeon mutations and stuff like that, where it's almost like it essentially that's what roguelike's doing, right? It's giving you a different context to what you did before. It's changing up what your decision making, so you're not just basically going, okay, I built this, now it's boring, because that's where the game gets boring, isn't it? It's when it's like, oh, I've done it 101 million times, and I'm just repeating it. If we can make it all dynamic.
So I've got dual builds for characters. So potentially you've got a PvP and a PvE build, or just 2 PvE builds, whatever
stuff. Huge.
Yeah. Fast leveling or a good leveling system like we see in some of these games now, instead of crappy tavern.
Well, sorry, what was that? You had loadouts, like different builds to tab through, and then what was the last?
Like a dual build system where you can basically flip between 2 builds.
Yeah, no, I got that one, but what was the next one?
Oh yeah, sorry. And the next one was basically like quality of life leveling. So, you know, fast leveling, good tavern systems in effect.
Agreed. 100%. I can never go back after.
Yeah.
Once you taste that, you're like, I gotta move on.
Another thing which I just wanted added to the Doom Tower section is like bosses are really important. So I've played plenty of these games where it's just wave after wave after wave. That's boring. So make sure, one of the things Ray done really well is having all different bosses. Doom Tower or our equivalent of that. Guild versus guild wars, I think, are really important for us to come back to that kind of like social stuff and to make them exciting and different. One thing I would like to see is visible weapons, and that's just something that's, I don't know if it's a feature really, but
no, I think it's kind of a feature. Well, we should put it here because it's like it needs to be built into the pipeline early.
A lot of people asked for that too.
Yeah. And I think the weapons need to be kind of to Saf's point, really, like some of these things relatively unique or tough to get, and that
like
feel like a big thing. But you get like a legendary weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the Diablo system. You basically can change like some of the cosmetics and stuff. They're all functionally doing the same thing, but because they're like the staff looks different to an axe, which looks different, and you might have different variants. It just makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and then the last one I've got here is basically something like a catacombs or some sort of never-ending content, but it scales in difficulty as you scale through it, and you need to complete content to be able to scale. So, and the reason why I say that is like for the hardcore player that wants to just grind, almost going down this dungeon which doesn't end, scales in difficulty, but the items you get within the dungeon enable you to continue progressing further. I think with something like this, so that the items you get need to be pretty crap outside of this environment in some way, so that it's literally like this is basically an area where you go if you want to be like the 10 hours a day type of guy.
Yeah, that makes sense. It can't, if that becomes the only way to get, I mean, like the, what is it, Tide in Watcher of Realms, it feels like that's kind of its in essence it's its own mode, because you only care about the strength of your characters in this weird way. We could have something kind of like that, but more interactive. Like I see why they did that. Like it's actually it's an interesting thing, but I think that's kind of what you're talking about, an interesting version of that.
Just to jump in there, also with those things, I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on this. Can we make it so there's no time limit on like how much they can play that game mode or like do it. Like if you're strong enough to beat wave 97, then let him get to wave 97.
That's
and
exactly the point of for me on
Yeah.
that mode. It's like this is the guy that just can just keep playing. If he wants to play all day, every single day, then that mode allows him to do it, providing he's kind of got the skill level to get through it.
Right.
I think there is a risk to that in the sense that I've just beaten it all today and now I have nothing to do. There is a value to having staggered content to enforce players.
But the rest of it is Saf. I'm just thinking like an area of the game where you can literally like fill your boots. If you want to get to stage 684, and you've gone down 6 levels of this never-ending dungeon, if you like.
The challenge you've got there is how do you balance the rewards? Because you have to incentivize them to do it beyond just like ego tripping. So obviously you've got to give them some sort of reward. And that could just be like more like gear or something, I guess. What you could do if you were worried about gear strength is just lock the gear within that game mode. That's quite common. Awaken Chaos Era used to do this when you had like this it was like a 3-stage path where you got items along the way. You even got some champions along the way, but you couldn't use them outside of that particular event. And then once that event ended, it restarted again. You timed like you could have it on a monthly reset or whatnot.
That's an interesting one.
Unlock it in
I
the
think
game
we
mode.
should look at Path of Exile more than like Ace. I think Path of Exile has essentially this game mode with what was the candle one? Dirk, do you remember? What was it called?
Delve. whatever.
Delve. Yeah.
Right.
Essentially this
Like a
mechanic,
roguelike.
right?
I think the
Totally
roguelike
RPG
and this
too.
would be the same thing. Because the roguelikes, a lot of times you'll get special stuff that only works for that run.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it is the same thing. Maybe you're right. Yeah.
I suppose it's not the same thing. It's basically taking roguelike, but putting it to Doom. It's basically an amalgamation of like Doom Tower with roguelite in the sense
Doom-like,
that
Yeah.
Doom
Well, that's
Tower
kinda
might be
the
like
thing with the roguelike would be.
limited.
Usually you just go until you die. So it'd have to have kind of infinite.
Yeah, so what you're basically saying is instead of having 200 floors with predetermined outcomes, you basically have unlimited floors with unlimited potential combinations, and then you
Yeah.
have to work your way through it and beat different
And there could
floors.
be like an
to go back to it.
exploration aspect to it too. Where you make choice along the way. Yeah, you find maybe people along the way to help you. And it all be contained within its own system. And then I like the idea too of it. Like, got my chores done for the day. Time to go have some fun. And like,
Yeah. I need to try and take
Yeah,
down
yeah.
this level that I hadn't done before, or I need to go and farm, back up a level to go and get some gear, which either the gear is only available and usable in that area. Let's imagine you've been, for this particular area, you've been shrunken down. So every piece of gear you get is actually, 100% worse than anything you've got in a normal world. So there's no point using any of it above ground. But actually, in this area, you're constantly evolving your strength to then progress in this area. I don't know how we do it, but basically,
Yeah, you
But
could
then
just
you
start
can
a
mine
hardcore
you
player.
can mine for gems. It has to obviously have rewards, and
Did
those
any of you
rewards
play-
would scale based on how far you get. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Did any of you play Diablo Immortal? They had a system like that. They had the fractured plane where it was an event where it was completely separate. You didn't even use your character. It was a new game mode, and you would get gear within that game mode. And then the further you got, the higher reward you would get that you could take into your main account.
I think the best system you're going to have here is treat it like an ARPG season where basically the game mode resets on like, I don't know, a month. You start
Yeah,
with nothing,
that makes sense
and then
as well,
you
yeah.
grow, and then you have a payout of rewards at the end. So the incentive is to go as deep as you can, because the deeper you go, you get a bigger payout. That way you don't have to like incentivize every floor reward. That would probably be the way to do it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, has
Anything
anyone
else you wanted to get on
got
there?
any? Sorry, I was just saying, has anyone got any like burning need to get something different down here? Because we're probably getting into like the last 15 minutes.
I think that's a co-op. I think that's like for me, the clan things, the biggest miss in all the clans is like there's no co-op with your clan. And a lot of times, like when you're doing repetitive content like clan boss, especially Hydra, kind of something I learned just from the military is like things that suck when you do them with someone else are some of your best memories. Like Hydra fucking sucks. But if you're doing a co-op once a week with a buddy and you share that misery, you would probably have some of your fondest memories in your entire life doing Hydra with your friend and like watching him get eaten just by the RNG, and you're like, oh come on, like so just stuff like that. I think it's a must.
It's
And so, like,
the fraternity theory, right? It's
Yeah,
essentially
exactly.
that same sort of concept, right?
And
So,
are we
I mean-
thinking like one feature, or are you thinking
not more, I
multiple?
mean, because I think that's how clan war should work too. I think a clan war should almost be like at least one version of it would be like almost like a co-op PvP mode where you go up like it's a Bruce Lee movie like Game of Death where you have to like climb the enemy clan's tower or something, and they would have like their defense teams along the way, and maybe it's like they have two different people making up random defense teams, and you and a clanmate work together. And you each bring 3
Yeah,
character
so
slots.
how do people feel about this? Because I think that I'm definitely bought in on the idea of a guild boss where it's like you know every day you get a couple of fights in with your buddy. It should usually be. How do you guys feel about this? Like on a more extended basis? Because that's kind of what Dirk's saying.
So when I was thinking about this problem, one of the main things I think is the challenge when you have sort of like time sensitive thing is how do you like match up people at a right time, right? So like fighting opponents' defenses and stuff. And in any live setting, it's like, well, you've got to agree a time that they've got. Because I was thinking of maybe like some sort of council, some sort of like dueling system within your CVC where you're dueling the other enemy CVC. But it's like, when do you find the right time for everyone? If you do it the way Raid did it, where it's like you've got like 1 hour windows, then it's difficult for people to find time to do it. It's almost like it needs to be prearranged. So if there was a way for clan leaders to agree with the opposition, like, okay, we're gonna have these people are gonna fight you, and you can do that, could be really fun. But yeah, that's a very
It'd be co-op async. So like like me and Sham would go against their just like AI controlled defense teams.
You could,
like,
but
their clan
even
would-
then, that's
because I think trying to get like 2 clans online at the same time is way harder than just like
Yeah.
Is this MTash? Is this Epic 7 has this kind of solved, or
So Epic 7, you've got 3 like main buildings and then your like main tower. And then so within these 3 like strongholds, there's also like particular towers, right? And then each tower has multiple defenses. And so you get 3 tokens. Like each person gets 3 tokens, and you can choose which towers you want to take on. And then if you kill the towers and you destroy them, then your team gets, like, your clan gets points. So you could be like, okay, everyone focus these towers. They've got really weak units. Let's kill those ones first. You get points, and then whoever's clan has the most points gets a reward at the end.
but this wouldn't be co-op. This would be like async co-op in essence. Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah. So we're not doing it right at the same time, but it's definitely like I never feel like, oh, the clan boss, we're all killing it, and like it feels like a team effort. But this one actually does feel like a team effort, and it's like people are collaborating. What are the best defenses right now? Like, what's the meta defenses? What's a team that beat this weird team that they've got? Yada yada yada. So this one is like a pretty good activity because it's essentially
and the community very positive about this, or was it? Where were they on that? Because it's also a lot of work, and there's people like to be sweaty, but some people don't really like to be sweaty about things.
Right. So this is like 3 times a week. It's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of thing, and then you don't have it on the weekend. But this is a kind of an option for like some sort of clan PvP that I've personally enjoyed quite a bit. But
So in Dragon Age, they have something similar where they've got like I think it lasts for 2 days. Where you get 3 progression points. Basically, the points you earn from doing their version of a clan boss. It's not really a clan boss because it's not tied to a clan, but the clan gets bonuses for doing the world boss thing. Then they've got a competitive based on PvP, but it's just PvP. It's not the versus the other clan. And then they've also got dungeon completion. So the idea I was thinking was you've got like, I don't know, 100 clan members, and you get 10 tokens during the clan tournament, and you can basically pick who you want to fight. And if you take on, say, the other clans like Champion, the best defense, and you beat them, then you get bonus points or something, right? So the clan has to work together to figure out how they're going to use their tokens to maximize the rewards, because if you don't want to necessarily fight a bigger defense, because if you lose, then you lose points, right? That could be more fun. But definitely, I agree, that model of the clan has to fight the other clan, not just some random generic clan or generic person, which is where I think Raid basically fails. They make all these clan systems, but you're never actually fighting you're not actually doing anything against the other clan. You're just doing stuff in the game.
Yeah, who can spend the most money essentially?
It would actually be quite a cool system as well if, like, within your clan leveling, you could buy certain things. So let's say everyone starts with a boss, which will end up in the final stronghold, and like you're buying almost like upgrades to that boss. So, or you can just flip the affinity for this guild war, or you can put certain abilities that you've learned through your clan leveling system on this boss. Or in fact, you get to a certain point where you can buy additional bosses, and basically when the enemies are fighting a stronghold, it's like, crap, what are we up against this time?
Right.
And it's not just a wave of normal characters. There's
Like a
there's almost like a
player-made
boss
Doom
element to it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying, like it's almost like your clan is building its own Doom Tower for other clans.
Or
to go.
building its own final boss in this kind of like build. I don't know how.
Or even in
feasible
this
but-
example, like if we look at the Epic 7 example, let's say someone they attack your, like one of your defenses with a certain team, you see that it's lost, and you can pay to like make that a frozen zone because they brought in a bunch of fire whatever it is. You know what I mean? I'm just making stuff up, but
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what I'm
You
saying?
start to almost augment the battlefield with things that you're earning throughout the week. So it's like you've got a week of doing whatever you're doing to earn these different things as a clan, and then like you say, like they go in somewhere and it's like, oh, your whole team is 30 speed slower in this zone because we've activated, the swamps or something.
Yeah,
And
I think that'd be pretty cool
etc.
because then it's like, now, all right, guys, we're all focusing on this thing. Let's all get it together. And then it's, oh shoot, someone actually, because you don't know which one they're going to attack until they attack it, right? So
Yeah.
then let's say
And
they
it's like
attack
through,
it,
through
oh,
the
shit,
week, you're
do
like,
this.
shit, man, we need to get some of these points together because I want to activate against this hard clan we know we're going to face, whatever. This really
Yeah,
annoying
I like that.
system or whatever.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Well,
Okay,
One
well,
thing on the clan, sorry, just very quickly, I think it's very important is in Dragon Age, what I think is really good is the clan leader can build a clan quest list that all the clan can work to. So, for example, if the clan is particularly focusing on like beating a specific dungeon, if 400 people do it, then they get a payout for that. So I think that could be quite good, and it's like scaled based on progression. So something like the ability for clan members to actually control rewards for their clan leaders.
Interesting.
Specifically.
yeah, that's
Cool.
pretty cool.
I got that
I think-
down. Something I wanted to make sure to get on here that I've never seen a game do properly is like we were talking about having achievements. We need an account profile and like a trophy case and like a way to showcase what you've done to you and your friends. Like, like I can pull it up and
Yeah.
talk trash with Simon. Like, dude, look at all my dungeon best times. I'm destroying you in every dungeon. I've gotten 100 legendaries. You've only gotten 72. Like a trophy case where it shows like your favorite champions and you can showcase your favorite build. Like, dude, look at my Trunda. She's sick. No game has done that properly, and it's something people would share all over social media, all over Discord, and people would compare with each other, and it would also drive monetization because people would be like, because I'd be like, oh my god, look at what Hell Hades has done. I need to catch up. Like, look at his profile
Yeah.
compared to mine.
Well, and real quick, so I love this trophy case concept, but also I think that there's room and people love to see these things evaluated in a number. So like your achievement score,
Achievement
I
level,
think
yeah.
is even more interesting.
I like
some
that,
people are
yeah.
gonna want to
Yep.
compare. Oh,
I like
like your
that.
your
You
power.
should check
But
Dragon Age.
achievements
It
was
has
huge.
all this. It has all this.
Check-
It has
check
like
what?
champion
Sorry?
power. Dragon Age. It has
Dragon Age does?
leaderboards for every single element. It has leaderboards for like the boss. It has champion builds. It's not got the trophy cabinet. That's I think the big deal.
It doesn't have a
So-
trophy case. Does it have a rating? So like, does it say like,
Yeah.
oh, you're four? Okay,
it rates,
nice.
it rates individual hero strengths, and then it ranks people on the leaderboard, so you can actually see who's got the strongest like ice champion or the strongest.
No, not that's not what I'm saying. So that I think can be evaluated. I mean, I guess you could do that as well, but I'm saying like okay. When you go to like your PlayStation 5, you get achievement points. I get 30 points for doing this and that.
Oh,
right?
it doesn't have achievements, no.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I wanted to add real quick is, I know we're up against it, is I think I would really enjoy if there was like a class specific or character specific long term, instead of having just a storyline as a stretch goal or the stretch campaign or quest in these games, having a specific, like, I need to go for my ultimate weapon or something for my class, like have a little bit of differentiators. That's a long I'm sure like MMOs have this sort of thing, right? But it's a long quest, it's a long grind, but then you feel like super accomplished and like, okay, it's almost a badge of honor. Like, yeah, I've got my weapon or I've got my armor or whatever it may be, like like having these long achievement quests that aren't just storyline, aren't just arbiter done,
Okay, we are at the 1 hour mark. Anyone have any last second things they want to say? Okay, so this is great. Obviously, it's not comprehensive. It isn't everything, but it is a great starting point. We really appreciate this hour you guys have spent kind of getting in there and talking through this. These are great. A lot of these are new and really interesting, and I think we can we'll come back with some really cool stuff. So